a third-year law student at Loyola University Chicago School of Law, going for the International Law Certificate. I've taken several international law courses: International Law and Practice, International Law Colloquium, Immigration Law, Human Trafficking, etc. I learned about asylum after taking immigration law. It was there that I realized that the African American male, or African Americans in general, meet the requirements for an asylum seeker, or an individual with a well-founded fear of persecution on account of race. This video, presented in the form of a policy debate speech, will contain 4 parts: significance, harms, inherency, and solvency. Or I will outline 1, a well-known, significant, and controversial issue; 2, the unimaginable harms it causes; 3, the inherent problem of how the U.S. government is unable or unwilling to stop the significant issue; and finally, 4, solvency, where I will offer a little-known solution taking advantage of my background in international law. The purpose of this video is to make people, particularly African Americans, aware of the protections guaranteed by international law, so that all of us can live a life free from persecution, not only to survive in this world, but to thrive. Point 1, significance. The deaths of unarmed Black American men represent a significant issue facing America and the world. Americans and people worldwide all know that African American men are being murdered by the police force. We are all familiar with the headlines: Black teen Tony Robinson shot dead by cop in Madison, Wisconsin, was unarmed; or another police involved in shooting death of Black teen sparks tensions in St. Louis. But the stories of yesterday's victims still haunt us, such as 12-year-old Tamar Rice, who was shot and killed for holding a BB gun; Akai Gurley, 28 years old, from Brooklyn, New York, described as a total innocent; Kamaje Powell, 25, from St. Louis; Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michael Brown of Ferguson.
Unarmed. November 25th, 2006, Sean Bell, Queens, New York, unarmed. January 1, 2009, Oscar Grant, Oakland, California, unarmed. January 29th, 2010, Aaron Campbell, Portland, Oregon, unarmed. July 18th, 2011, Alonzo Ashley, Denver, Colorado, unarmed. March 7th, 2012, Wendell Allen, New Orleans, Louisiana, unarmed. September 14th, 2013, Jonathan Farrell, Charlotte, North Carolina, unarmed. July 17th, 2014, Eric Garner, Staten Island, New York, unarmed. August 9th, 2014, Michael Brown, Ferguson, Missouri, unarmed. In the past decade alone, these men and hundreds of others have lost their lives to police. Local police report to the FBI killing at least 400 people a year from 2006.
But because they were African American. To Americans and people worldwide, this is a significant problem, as evidenced by the media coverage and the public attention. To African American men, however, this is not new. It is simply a harsh reminder that police officers have the authority to murder. So, as you can see, the issue we are discussing is widespread and significant by all accounts. Point 2, harms. This issue causes egregious consequences, social unrest, injustice, and the loss of human life. The Ferguson Police Department's practices are not unique to that state, but they are similar across the United States. This problem has sparked social unrest through protests, riots, and demonstrations because it shocks the human conscience. Because police targeting Black American men result in first-degree murder is hard to believe. The examples of these first-degree murders are often diffused on the internet. South Carolina officer Michael Slager, for instance, was caught on cell phone camera shooting and killing Walter Scott in cold blood. Freddie Gray's treatment by police was also caught on camera before his death that sparked riots in Baltimore. The Huffington Post said, "I can't breathe." Eric Garner's last words symbolize our predicament. Chicago released the chilling video of a white cop shooting 17-year-old Laquan McDonald 16 times. The Cook County State's Attorney said that the officer was on the scene less than 30 seconds before opening fire. Shocked, the public understands that this particular problem results in the most egregious of all acts: the intentional killing of a human being. When compounded over several years, this results in a significant loss of human life. So here, we see that this issue is causing not only superficial harms, economic loss, property damage, we're talking about death, the ultimate harm. 3, inherency. The U.S. government is powerless and has failed to solve this problem. Americans and people worldwide understand the injustice that is taking place. In New York, headlines read, "Hundreds protest in Manhattan against police brutality." CNN reported, in Philadelphia, police clash with supporters of Baltimore protests. In Chicago, protesters disrupted holiday gift shopping in downtown Chicago. The Black Lives Matter organization marched in St. Paul for Philip Quinn. The list continues. People are fed up. The public is manifesting its desire for change, yet the American government has done little. Although charges have been brought against police officers in some cases, what has the U.S. federal government done to solve this problem? Well, the Washington Post reported that Congress has decided to get serious about tracking police shooting. They reported that Congress plans to require states to report the number of police killings to better understand the significance of the problem. Better understand the significance of the problem? This means that the U.S. government will put forth a plan to solve this problem only after analyzing an unknown number of years' worth of data? Then what? How does this government initiative stop police murdering African Americans? We all know the answer. It is clear that the government conducting an investigation will offer nothing to the actual protection of the lives of African Americans. Therefore, although some officers face criminal charges and the government wants to conduct an investigation, it's clear that the United States government is impotent at solving the issue. The current system inherently demonstrates a persistent unwillingness and/or inability to solve this deadly problem. So, as we have shown, not only is this issue significant with serious harms, but we now have a clear picture of the inherency argument, or why the present system is not working, why there is a need for a plan. Which brings me to my next point, for solvency. International law offers a solution to this problem through asylum. The world's nations all agree that individuals should not be persecuted or faced with hostility or ill treatment, especially because of their race, religion, or nationality. Despite this, the fact still remains that African American men are being persecuted. Although the US Constitution has offered little protection, international law guarantees freedom from persecution. In fact, this is a fundamental principle in international law. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948, was the first time that the world community agreed on rights to which every human is inherently entitled. In total, 48 sovereign nations agreed to be bound by this treaty. The very first article reads, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood." It later states, "No one should be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile," and guarantees the right to seek and enjoy asylum in other countries. International law is controlled by treaties, and today the Treaty on the Rights of Persecuted Individuals is called the Convention Relating to the Status of Refugees. This has been around since 1951. The treaty, much like a contract, is an international legal instrument. This one provides protection to persecuted individuals who choose to leave their country when their government fails to protect them. Sound familiar? Well, here is where it gets weird. These are the requirements for asylum. Each asylum seeker must meet 3 requirements. 1, have a rational fear of persecution because of 2, they belong to a particular social group, and where 3, the persecution is committed by the government.
African Americans meet all these requirements.
Let's go down the list. 1, the well-founded fear of persecution. That element is satisfied because overwhelming evidence documents the systematic and intentional targeting and killing of Black Americans by members of the police force, an arm of the government, for goodness. 2, you must belong to a particular social group. Well, this one's easy. Under international law, race is considered a particular social group. Lastly, the 3rd element, the persecution is committed by the government. As we just said, the police force is inherently an arm of the government, funded by US tax dollars. It's headed by US federal agencies. Moreover, the US government is unable or unwilling to control the police forces, as evidenced by the inaction of local and state governments, just like Ferguson. Therefore, we can definitely say that the United States government is unable or unwilling to solve the problems faced by its citizens of African American descent, which is exactly what the 3rd element of asylum requires. So we see that each element is satisfied here. The 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees allows African American men to enjoy asylum and be granted protection in over 100 countries worldwide.
Please do not take this information as legal advice.
But here are the general steps to take to be granted asylum in most countries. 1, you simply travel outside the United States alone or with family to your desired host country. 2, once you get there, you file an asylum application with Immigration Services. 3, and this is the great part, during the application process, you will be granted temporary residence, housing, healthcare, education, and other social services. 4, after processing, if your application is accepted, you will be granted a permanent residence card, allowing you to work, live, go to school, buy property, etc. And after a certain number of years, you can apply and be granted citizenship. Ideal countries for African Americans. While Canada may be a natural first choice, Western European countries have much to offer and have a positive image of African American. UK, France, Belgium, Switzerland, etc. Not only do Black communities flourish there, but Europe also has a very similar standard of living to the US.
Absent the racism.
English will be an asset, and having an American cultural background is seen positively. Additionally, The possession of firearms is totally outlawed in Europe. Police do not carry them, and the murder rate is significantly lower compared to the US. I have presented credible evidence about this problem, the harms it causes, and why the present system is unable to solve it. I have also presented a solution that international law offers, staying true to the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Men. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. African Americans are not treated with a spirit of brotherhood in America. Now, you know. Now, you have a choice. You now have the information that will take you from simply surviving, struggling in America, to being able to thrive across the world.
Now go, be free.